I'm like in the head. Oh god. Oh.
Everything I'm mentioning is on this board. This is
Oh, you're so scared. No, it's just I'm scared. You can hug your head. I have my back. You can use my backpack for
That's the right way to do it.
I literally, I can't do it. No, I did. No, it's now that's the word. What did I say? She's that. I literally do anything. Oh, sorry. Sorry, what's the
Okay, so I think I'm ready to kind of start doing the eyes and like put in a real eye. I won't assemble everything in Mudbox because Mudbox is kind of very good for sculpting. It's decent-ish for painting, but I'm probably not gonna like render in it. It's not gonna look that good. I also need to texture the skin and stuff. If you want at this stage, some people like drawing like depending on the type of character you have. Some people like drawing like wrinkles and stuff at this stage. Let me just make a new layer. Shift E. So you may want to. Mine's very smooth because the character is very smooth, but you may want to at this point add wrinkles and stuff like that. Whatever you're adding wrinkles, try to make sure once you have them, you do a little trick, which is you smooth them at the end, and then that way they blend a lot more into the skin. And after you smooth as well, so it looks more like it actually is part of the person's face. If you smooth the ends, and if you want to define it more, you just use a pinch to kind of pinch it together. Just whichever way you want to do it. Now I don't have a lot of wrinkles, so I'm gonna have this, and I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna leave that model there for now. I'll retopologize after. Step level down. But for now, I want to go and get eyeballs. So for eyeballs, let me just check my wireframe here. Okay, not too bad. For eyeballs, I actually will make them in Max. I don't actually want to make them in Mudbox. So I don't really want to sculpt the eyeballs. So why is my Max like this? There we go. Alright. So, as I said last week, eyeballs are made of like the outer layer, which is a shiny layer, and the inside layer, which is not quite as shiny. So, fucking biology, man. So what we need to do is we need to kind of approximate it. So in the real life eyeball, it's like that. There's the cornea, which has a little bump. I'm exaggerating it just to show you. And then this part has like a little dent, and there's like the iris, and then the pupils in the middle, where the light comes in. So well, the way that works is, and you'll see this in painting as well, when you have someone's eye, let's say like that, you'll always notice if the light comes from here, what happens is the lower, the upper part of the eye is where the highlights happen. So like a light, and so it's shiny like that, but the pupil's always dark, obviously, because it's like a hole. But the upper part is darker, and the lower part is lighter. Because it's as if this part is reflecting like this. So it's almost like a little saucer. Like. That's why the bottom part of the iris reflects the light, but the top part of the cornea reflects. So in this case, that same light will be here. That's why it's hitting the top part. That's why you get the highlights there, and it's shiny, so you get a very small highlight. And then because this part is bumped upwards, it's actually here that gets light. Does that kind of make sense? Right? So you see that a lot of digital painting, and that's how they make an eye look like an eye, and it's a really nice way if you're drawing an eye or painting an eye, having just that little like highlights up here but lighter on the bottom of the iris makes a huge difference. So how do we replicate that in 3D? Because we obviously don't control the painting of the lighting, we're gonna use 3D lighting. I'll do that after. So we're gonna do a very similar thing where we have one piece that's like with a bump here, so it's going to be like a sphere, and this part's going to be bumped out, right? So the rest is like a sphere, like a normal sphere. And the inside, what we're going to do with the inside, is that. So this will give us our, when you shine the top will be shiny here. We'll make it a shiny transparent material. So that's easy. On the inside, what we'll do is we'll have another sphere, slightly smaller, and then this will do like a concave shape. And this will give us that trick of like the bottom part, again, this light's coming from here, the bottom part will be lit up and the top part will be in shadow, right? Because that's basically what will happen, because the top part is not being hit by the light. And then we will paint in the pupil, sometimes as you can have the height map, so it looks like it's going in. And that should be good enough for a basic eye. It can get really fucking complicated. You can go like super complex with eyes, especially for main characters. But this is like pretty good standard for pretty much everywhere, and even a lot of AAA games still use this method. The other thing is, I don't know if you noticed on my character, it was all hairless, as I said before. The hair, in my case, is a cartoon thing, so it'd just be one big blob, and that's easy enough to do. I'll probably sculpt it and put color. I think we've talked about hair cards before, right? So on an eye, if I once again have an eye, it depends on the style that I have. So if you notice our eyelids, you can't really see it that well, but most of the time for characters like Overwatch or like cartoon characters, it will just be one mesh that's like that. It has like, and it's just painted to it like that. Right? So the mesh itself will just be this whole little strip. It kind of sticks out forwards. And it's just one strip you put in. If you have realistic eyelashes, that would be two cards. And you only do it on the top, by the way. Very rarely do you see it on the bottom as well. Sometimes you see it like painted on the bottom, but painted in texture. Again, that's a cartoon style. For a realistic one, you would have both, one on top and a smaller one on the bottom. Again, they're meshed like that. But these are cards now. So this one is a pure solid black. Like the whole thing is solid black. These won't be. These will be more like, if I had a strip of cards there, it would be little eyelashes. Like so. And they have, cards. So cards is literally like, if I do, let's say that's polygon, and it like has a few segments, and I can bend it whichever way I want, that's called a card. So, especially like say on someone's jaw, right, and you see these little bits of stubble, they're almost always like little tiny polygons with tiny like hair texture on it with a normal map, and has a normal one, so it bumps up, and usually shiny because there's a little shiny. It's actually quite hard to get hair texture right, because it either looks usually too shiny or not shiny enough or whatever. There's like hair specialists who literally just use hair. But for us, just what you need to know, like you have these little cards. That's literally how like Nathan Drake was in Uncharted. That was one of the first like big, oh look at this double, whatever. And that was how it was used, and that's basically how it was used. And then the same with hair. If I have a head with hair on it, so it's like a, and you'll realize that a lot of game characters have like, oh no, there's like a shaven head, or they have a ponytail because it's easier. It's not very rare you have like huge flowing locks kind of hair because obviously more computational power. So you would have generally like a mesh like that, say for a ponytail, or like Tomb Raider, you'd have the mesh, and that's the mesh, and you would have like hair textures like so, going that way. And then you'd have one or two little strands of like hair cards here and there, just to make it look interesting, right? And these cards, especially for hair on the head, will generally be loads of little strands of hair on the texture. And that's like the one. So you have loads of little strands there, and then you can bend that so it looks like one wave of hair. I don't know if you noticed that when you see especially in slightly older games, you'll see like a whole chunk of hair all moves at the same time. That's because of this. Because let me just see if I can find an image. Horizon is a very special one because like Alloy is super high quality. Like she's, but we can look at her. Because I think her hair is like rigid bodies and everything, right? Um, it's there's a thing called Tress Effects. I think it's still Tress Effects that's used, at least for NVIDIA graphics card. So that was in Tomb Raider. I think it's used for Horizon Zero Dawn, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it is Tress Effects. That looks like it. So you don't need really to know the calculation for it, but essentially it has like mini bones. So if I have like loads of hair cards, right? They're all there. Let's say all 1, 2, 3, 4 of these are controlled by one bone, one set of bones. And if the bone goes like that, like blown by the wind, the hair, there's a calculation, so the hair cards are rated a bone, but they don't follow it exactly. So like one will go like that, and one will go a bit like that, and they kind of follow it, but it just depends on the. That's stress effects, but again, you probably won't be doing stress effects in your own graph. If you want to do it, great. So, and then there is stress effects. Oh, this hair works as well. So there's like the Tomb Raider comparison. I think this is without, because it like, and you can see all the cards very clearly. Yeah, it is disabled. So it still has like rigid bodies in the hair for animation. And now this is like the bone that I was talking about, and all the rest kind of follow one single bone, but they don't follow it exactly, so it looks like realistic hair. And this is like a very janky early version of Tress Effects as well. So it gets much better later. Was it Hairworks? This the other one? Hair. I'm not sure if I can. Havoc in Bloodborne. It's the big one. No. Fabric physics. That'll probably do. Yeah, all these zones, they use this similar system. Like that stuff. So it's made by Havoc, who's a company here in Dublin. They work down in the near the IFSC kind of area. I'm not sure, somewhere around there. George Street. Grant. So anyway, let's go in here and let's start doing. I'll start with a sphere. I don't really care about the size right now because I just want to get the shape right, and I'll sort the size out later. And I'm gonna rotate this 90 degrees, and you'll see why. So I'm gonna do first the cornea, which is the easier one. I'm gonna make a copy of this first, actually. I'm gonna make a copy, and this one will be slightly smaller. Slightly smaller. If you need to like visualize it in here, what you can do is in your material editor, you can set a material with a low opacity. So it won't affect anything else except in max. But just for now, it allows me to see through it, right? Which is maybe what I want to see. I want to be able to see through it. So I'm going to do it's called the sclera first. And this is very simple. It's not that hard. So what I'll do is I will do what's the name of it? It's edit poly. And I'll grab literally just this vertex here, and I'll do something like a soft selection. So soft selection is here. use soft selection, and that's the distance that it's going to affect. You've seen this before, haven't you? Soft selection. I'm pretty sure I've shown you this before. Yeah. So the heat map shows how much each is affected. So you can see if I pull that, it affects it differently. I can change the fall off, so I can make it go much further. In which case, when I pull, the full thing comes out. So it depends on what you want to make. And then the shape is in the pinch and the bubble. So I kind of want something like this because I want to pull out the cornea, and then I want to affect around like something like here. Let's pull that out forward and see. Cool, that's pretty much good. All right, so I'm getting that cornea shape. Maybe I'll drop the fall off even more. Yeah, there we go. So there's my cornea shape. So if I shine light on this now, it should look like the outside of an eye. Oh, sure. So let's see if I can change that material to be shinier. Glossiness super high, spectrum level high. Can you see that? Like the little. So depending on where that light is, you get that little curve you see when it gets up to the front, which is exactly what I want. So perfect. Cool. And we'll make sure to do this in Substance to test this correctly. So that's fine. And this one is done. Goody bops. And then I'll go to the inside. Let me just make sure that it fits inside. And just check that it fits. And oh no, I did it to the side. Damn. Where's the front? Front is here. Okay, cool. And just make sure that it's like placed correctly on all sides. It's probably just the back needs to be grand. Cool. And then I can hide the first one, just for now. So with this one, I want to do pretty much the opposite. So if I go back there, edit poly again, and this is fairly simple what I'm doing with. So just grab that, do soft selection, and this I'm gonna make it the pinch a little wider. So I want it to be more pronounced. So if I pull this in now, you see I'm getting the concave shape. All right. I think that's big enough. That should be okay. The other thing I can do, if I really want to accentuate this, which you see sometimes, with the smoothing groups, turn off soft selection. Right now they're all on 1. So if I change the inside ones to 2, oh, damn it. How does that look? So you get kind of that, right? So like a little curve. And that's all done using smoothing groups, so I don't need to sculpt any of this. Alright. So that should be good, that should be good, and that's ready to go basically to subs. I probably don't need to unwrap the sphere, I'm not sure. I think the default unwrap's not usually okay. So you'll generally see sometimes eyes are completely separate material. Sometimes they're all contained, sometimes they're not. Just depends on your budget, basically, how much you've been given. I'm gonna keep them as a completely separate material. What I will do is, what will I do? Let's unwrap them so they both use the 1. So we're gonna attach them together. I'm gonna use unwrap. And I probably don't need to re-unwrap it a different way. Sometimes you'll see they'll unwrap like the whole eye center part by itself. So like the cornea part will be its own piece, so you can paint on it. Can we do that? Let's just do it. It's very quick. Cool. And then we've got seams on that. Turn off the map seams. I want to see those green ones. Yeah, that should be pretty good. We'll just do a C. Let's just cut the eyeball in half. So, yeah, let's just be cheap and do that. Cool. So I have everything here. Let's pack it. So where's the pack? And I don't really care about this one because this one is going to be just a pure material. It's going to have very little detail in it. Sometimes people put normal maps so you can see the little tiny bumps and stuff, but it probably doesn't need as much texture space as the other stuff. I'd rather have more texture space for my cornea. My iris, sorry, because that's what everyone's going to be looking at. Like here, that's what everyone wants to pay attention to. Eyeballs, not necessarily the sclera around it. So that should be fine. And file, save, eyeballs. Really bops. And I can export these. I'm going to export them separate. Sorry, they're the same object, but I'm separating them away because I can obviously then go to substance and texture them. Just give them a normal. There you go. Cool. File, export selected. Eyeballs. And let's go to substance. Actually, let me make a copy before I do that. Just go in here. Just so you can see what it looks like when it's all put together. Is it centered? Cool. So I'm going to use this ones to texture because they're separated. But you'll see the full finished version there, because those are copies that use the same exact UV unwrap. And one thing I can do as well is go to Substance Share and just see what eyeballs exist right now, because you might find a really good material, so you don't have to do it yourself. Cool, and there's loads here. I like maybe this one. Let's try this. So I don't know if this will work, but we'll see. What? Could bups. So file, new, get that file. Cool, let's try that material. I don't know what that material is like. So first things is I want to make sure my opacity is there. So I need to add a opacity channel, and I also need to make sure the texture shader that I'm using has opacity in it. So I want a PBR metal rough with alpha. That's with alpha blending is what I want. Cool, and that should allow me to have opacity there. So the first thing is I will probably just deal with this. So let's make a fill. And in this fill, I don't care about color, metal, maybe I'll do some height normal. I care about roughness and opacity. So the roughness, it's not very rough, it's quite shiny because it's a sclera, something like that. And then the opacity will be much lower. And I'll add a mass to make sure that it only affects the sclera. And that's done. That's very easily finished. Go back and tweak it. I think probably could do it a bit shinier. So let's make the roughness even shinier. Yep. Grand. So that should be okay. Now let's do the eye. Oh, that doesn't seem to do anything. Nope. Maybe if I import it as a generator. It's not doing anything, is it? No, it's not. No. Guess that doesn't work. See if we can find another one. Okay. Okay, this one looks like it needs to be unwrapped, so the whole sphere is unwrapped that way. So I might go back and re-unwrap if I want to use that. I actually probably just need 4. Come on. It's not working very well. It's even worse. I don't think it's going to work very well. Let's see. Here you go. Much easier. It's black. Purple eyes. Purple eyes. Cool. Eyeball. Done. I think the inside's a bit shiny, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And it's very smooth at the moment. There's no real kind of eyeball textures or anything on it, so it's not great. So I'm gonna try and get some little striations to make it look like an eyeball. See if we can get a stamp online. This will work. It's got a texture thing on it, not sure, whatever. Oh, this one's free. That's good. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, shit. I missed a bit. Okay, so I made like an alpha, black and white alpha that I can hopefully use to stamp onto the eyeball where I need it to be. Just need to import it. Where did it go? Cool. And I can drop the opacity. And I don't really care about the back because no one's going to see the back. So let's see if this works fine. That was huge. This won't work yet though because albedo should work. Oh, okay. Because it's set to opaque, so I need to change rendering mode to fade or transparent. Transparent. Cool. I probably have to make the inside eye a little bit bigger, but you can see it basically kind of works. And if I and that's how you'd make an eyeball. Cool box. Any questions? So to opacity and substance, you need to go texture set settings and make sure you add opacity. So you need to hit plus here and add opacity there. But it's not enough to do that because that just gives you the channel where you can edit opacity, but it won't show it in here unless you change the shader to PBR Metal Rough with alpha. Yeah. Attach them both together. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so as I said last week, once I'm finished with this, I need to retopo it again. I think you've all seen retopo before. I already exported this high poly mesh. So this one is a really high poly wireframe, and I'm going to retopologize it. However, this time, as opposed to the last time with the rock, we just retopologize it. I'm going to do create curves. So I'm going to tell Mudbox which areas to make sure to have edge loops on. And that's for animation purposes. So, for example, I'm going to tell Mudbox to keep these areas that I definitely want to have edge loops around them. Probably one around the ear as well. So I think that should be okay. May want to do one like that. Okay. So I'm gonna save this where I retopologize. Mesh. Oh, sorry. Retopologize. I will use curves. I'm gonna try to get to like maybe 6,000. In this case, turn off sculpted details. I could do symmetry if I want, because I have been sculpting symmetrically, and if it makes Mudbox's job easier, I probably will. So I'll base it on axis, and you can choose which one if you want, like right to left or left to right. But I will do, yeah, it doesn't really matter because I've been doing it symmetrically. But this way, I know for a fact that the left and the right side will be symmetrical. Because sometimes if you don't put that, they're not exactly symmetrical, which can be a problem when it comes to animations. So it should be okay. Let's see what happens. Oh no. Oh no. It's so nice here though. Like the outside part, these are really good. That worked really well. The ears, not so much. Here's a couple of problems here, but overall. Okay, let's turn off symmetry and see what happens. I'm not sure why it's that bad. Wow. Wow. Oh, will we try it with a different setting? Sure, why not? I believe in you, Mudbots. Oh my god, it's so noisy. Okay, it's much better. And I know it looks creepy as shit, but that's actually pretty good. Okay, so I can export that now, and we'll try to project very quickly. And also, when you retopologize, you'll need to re-unwrap because it won't have the unwrap anymore. Is this exactly symmetrical? It is. And I kind of want to unwrap all the areas that are protruding because they're the ones that are going to cause problems when you are trying to flatten stuff out. I'm going to try to keep the face as clear of seams as possible, if I can. So I don't want there to be any problems with seams there. I know this part's going to be hidden by the hair, so not too bad. I need to worry about the nose though. Why? Why can't it separate? Oh no. Okay. This should be able to unwrap, but it's not doing a very good job. Hmm. Oh god, what the hell? It's like backwards. Oh, it's exactly backwards. So weird. It's pretty terrifying. We'll need to work on that retopology. Hey guys.
Just on time.
Just on. Why? Not creepy at all. So it looks like I'll need to redo the eyeball because the front bulges way too much and the inside isn't quite big enough. I'll need to redo that. Seems like I can only make creepy things in this class. I'll fix them later. And this retopology is not doing a great job either. I'll probably redo the retopo as well. So welcome to 3D art. Keep trying until it works. What a pain.